The most important thing we need to realize and hold in our consciousness this day, and for any day for that matter, is that everything that we have ultimately has been given to us by God. God is the creator of the universe, of all that ever was, of all that is, and all that ever will be. The universe and all that is in it, including us, belongs to God. We were made by God, for God. But God has treated us more as sons and daughters rather than as servants or slaves. God has been generous with us. God has given us many gifts. First and foremost, God has given each one of us the gift of life itself. Your life is a gift. You did not make yourself. You did not create yourself. God gave you the gift of life. God is your creator. God is your father and mother. God is the father and mother of all life. God is the source of all life. There are no self-made people. All that we have accumulated in our lifetimes was something that was already here. It was something that God had already made. Maybe we think we earned all our possessions and achievements and awards by our own hard work, talent, and good looks. But the truth is that the material for our possessions was already here on earth, created by God, and our talents and good looks were also provided by God. All that we own belongs to God. So, what does it take? What does that make of our material goods and possessions? If all we own really belongs to God, then we are the temporary caretakers of what is in our possession. We are the present stewards of our material goods. Someone has possessed them before us in some form or manner, and someone else will possess them when we are gone. As a species, we are the caretakers of the earth. The earth is God's house, and we are the house stewards, entrusted with the care and maintenance of this world on God's behalf. God did not create the world to be abused and destroyed. God created the earth to be a garden, which provided for the needs of all people. And it can provide for all of our needs if we care for it properly. But let me draw down the scale of our stewardship a little bit. Certainly, we call the earth God's house. But we also refer to places such as this church, where the pilgrim congregation gathers for communal worship and service as God's house. This house of God is also entrusted to us to care for, maintain, and build for the sake of God. And when I speak of the church, I mean the people of this congregation. Yes, we have a responsibility to be good stewards of the building and grounds, for this is God's house. But the building and grounds are tools for our stewardship of doing God's ministry in this community. So the better we keep up the physical house of God, we will be better able to keep up the spiritual house of God. And it's everyone's responsibility. And speaking of this building, as we walk around inside these walls, we will occasionally see little plaques on various things like tables and chairs. Instruments. There's also some of them hung on the walls. Well, those plaques have names written on them. And there are some people here who remember some of those people whose names are engraved in metal. But some of you do not know any of the people whose names are written on those plaques. They are strangers to you. You did not know them, and they did not know you. But you are both bound together as the stewards of this congregation. There were people who came before us who made the Pilgrim Church congregation. And many, if not all, were people that we did not know. But those strangers and the work that they did are the reason we are Pilgrim Church today. We are reaping where we did not sow. Someone else planted the seed, tended the crop that we enjoy today. People before us labored to keep this congregation doing the things that God wanted done in their time so that we might do the things that God wants us to do in our time. Because of their faithfulness in the past, because of their work before us, there is a congregation here for us to share in the presence and the work of God today. They were the stewards of God's house. They invested their time, their talents, and their financial resources to support the ministries and programs of this congregation. We have a strong tradition here at Pilgrim. We have a heritage. And the torch of God's Spirit has been passed on to us to preserve and grow. We are now challenged to keep the service of this congregation alive and growing. We are the caretakers of God's house today. We are the stewards of this congregation now and for future generations. We honor the people of yesterday by serving God faithfully today and providing for the generations of tomorrow. The previous stewards of Pilgrim Congregation did not want to see this congregation die. They built ministries with their time, their talent, and their treasure to meet the needs of their time. So we could use our resources to meet the challenging needs of our time. We are living in a new day, and we must reinvent the church for this new day if we are to be the good stewards of our time. So what are we doing here at Pilgrim to serve God by meeting the needs of people today and providing for future generations? We are offering a number of ministries and programs to increase people's spirituality, build up fellowship, do outreach into the community, and support ministries in a wider context. We are continuing the mission which began with Irma Jones over 120 years ago when she decided to offer Sunday school to the people on the other side of the tracks. Irma Jones's Sunday school became Pilgrim Church. And we carry on this all-important ministry. It is a ministry which is not just to educate young people into the knowledge of what Christianity is, but its primary purpose is to build loving relationships. Think back to when you were in Sunday school. What stands out most in your mind? What you learned or who you learned it from? Most of us remember our teachers and the love that they gave us. And we have a group of teachers who carry on a ministry of love to our young people, letting them know that God loves them, which is the most important lesson of all at any age. That love is carried on with our small children's closet. Every week, our church works with the local clearinghouse Christian Services to help provide clothing for children up to 3 years of age for needy families. This ministry is able to continue to help people because of your contributions of clothes, money, and many people's time and work. Once a young mother came to the closet to pick up an order and started to cry when she saw that there was a Christmas dress for her little daughter. The workers asked her, if she was all right, and she replied that she didn't have anything for her daughter to wear for Christmas, but now she did. The story of children and parents' needs being met happen every week, thanks to you. We also reach out to help people in need with our contributions to the Thanksgiving and Christmas baskets and the personal needs shopping cart. Your time, your talent, and financial support allow needy families to have a satisfying meal so their holidays will be a time of joy rather than emptiness. Your contributions to the personal needs allow struggling families to struggle less and to have a better life. You contribute to our discretionary fund, which we collect on the first Sunday of the month. This fund helps members of our church and people of our neighborhood receive mostly small but vital help in the way of gas cards to get people to work or doctor's appointments, Wendy's cards for those who need a meal, bus tokens for those who need to get to a job interview or a job, and sometimes a copay for a prescription. And a couple times a year, there are bigger needs like electric bills or gas bills or some other unexpected need. Reverend Mike, Janice, our church secretary, myself, and sometimes Judy Hackett talk with people off the street to address their needs. Sometimes they just want someone to talk with and to pray with them. And your support of Pilgrim makes that important ministry possible. We offer here at Pilgrim ways to grow in faith and spirituality. We have our worship services, which are designed to make you feel at home. A mixture of comforting reassurance of who you are and a challenge to do and to be better than you are. We have a Bible study on Monday mornings, and I'm now leading a new Bible study at Bircham Hills on Wednesdays. We have our I've already mentioned the Sunday school, and we offer once a month a time of prayer and meditation led by Judy Knott. And Reverend Mike leads a discussion every Wednesday evening on a variety of topics, including many spiritual issues. In addition to spiritual growth, the Wednesday discussions have brought new guests to our church, some of whom have joined us for Sunday worship and other events. And your support makes these ministries possible. Your support allows our Women's Fellowship, the Women's Circles, Men's Fellowship, Alcoholics Anonymous, the All Bingham Community Group, the Inclusive Justice Group, the ADAPT Group, and others to meet and create good relationships and improve the well-being of the neighborhood. We also work with the local neighborhood groups to have the annual Neighborhood Night Out and the Halloween and Trunk or Treat party to build a stronger community. We host our Rally Day and Pilgrim Palooza event, inviting neighborhood people to join us in food and fellowship. And within our fellowship, there is a group of caring and dedicated people who visit our homebound members or call on them or send them cards to let them know that they are remembered and they're cared for. At times, we have even helped out individuals and couples by providing some meals when they are ill or recovering from an illness or injury. And when members are in the hospital, there are a number of compassionate pilgrims who make visits or place phone calls. You know, we're all ministers in the eyes of God, and many pilgrims heed the call to be the comforting hands of God to the hurt, to the weak, and the less fortunate. And speaking of the hurt, the weak, and the less fortunate, pilgrim people are involved in helping those who are beyond the doors of the church and its membership. I've already mentioned the discretionary fund and the Thanksgiving and Christmas baskets, but we contribute to programs and agencies who help people in the greater Lansing area, in the state of Michigan, and in our country and around the world. We participate in 5 special offerings throughout the year: Strengthening the Church, One Great Hour of Sharing, Blanket Sunday, Veterans of the Cross, Neighbors in Need, and the Hunger Action Fund. We're also involved in the annual crop walk to help feed people here in Lansing and around the world. We contribute to OCWM, which supports the work of our Michigan Conference and the UCC denomination at the national level. We also have members who participate in the local social justice group called Action of Greater Lansing, which seeks to improve the well-being of the Lansing area. All these and more. Pilgrim Congregation supports with time, talent, and financial resources. Now, I could go on to mention the work of the various teams and committees, but I've already gone long enough in the sermon. We are doing good work here at Pilgrim. Your support with your time, talent, and financial resources makes it possible for all of us to discern God's will and to do God's will. We continue to be challenged as the costs of supporting our building rise, but this building allows us to be present in a neighborhood in need and a community which needs caring. The Pilgrim Congregation has continued to do God's work, changing its ministries with the changing needs of the neighborhood and community. But pilgrims have been faithful to God's calling to serve. Pilgrims of the past have rose to the occasion to put their time, talents, and financial resources to bear in supporting the ministries of God. And the torch of God's light has been passed to us to shine in this neighborhood and our world as brightly as we can. We are the stewards of today and the hope for tomorrow. But let us shine brightly for God's love and grace to abound and free the souls of the lost and damaged. Let us continue to be a beacon of hope for people of all walks of life. And as we give our support to the ministries of this congregation, we will receive surprising gifts from God. We will not only have the gift of life, but we will have life in abundance. So please give your gifts to support the surprising gifts of God. And in blessing others, we become blessed. May God bless us all. Amen.